Craft Center. Today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to use the front extruder. Here at the Craft Center, at our front desk, we have hollow and solid dies that you can use to make any shape that you want. Once you give us your ID card, we can take it and then give you the extruder kit. Starter kit. This is the rubber O-ring you always need to place inside the end of the extruder barrel. These are the dies for the solid forms. This is the metal cylinder, along with screws and hollow dies for hollow forms. Now we will be showing how to assemble the extruder for a hollow form.
So with the extruder, we would want the interior part and the exterior part to be lined up, just like this.
You're going to want to have the interior square and the exterior squares lined up perfectly, and it tends to move around quite a bit. But one little trick to get it to stay is to wrap a piece of clay around the die hole, and then you can line up your squares and smash the clay through so it kind of positions the interior exactly where you need it.
For solid extrusion of your clay, the only difference is you're not going to be using this square piece. So instead, you're just going to place in your rubber and this piece. For any other smaller pieces, simply place in the shape that you want, and then using this piece to block all the other holes.
Now that we've got both of our pieces lined up, we're gonna connect the die to the extruder by putting this in, twisting, and locking it in. So we need to make sure that we get our clay into a cylinder shape just like this, and we need to make sure that it's also fairly soft clay. We would then put our cylinder inside the extruder and our other cylinder inside the extruder. We would lift our handle up and make sure that the plunger is lined up with the extruder. So this is the clutch. If we want the plunger to go upwards, we will have it at the upwards position, and if we would like the plunger to go downwards, we would have to have it in the downwards position. If you ever feel like you need to force the machine, it's either because your clay is too firm or because the pieces are not lined up. Please never force the machine because it can break. So when everything's lined up, all you have to do is pull the handle up and down, and the clay will begin to extrude.
And then sometimes the clay will like to bend, so make sure you have your friend to come help guide the clay so that it's straight.
After pulling the handle up and down for a while, you're gonna feel a resistance, and this means that you've hit the top of your die. You must stop because it means that you don't have any more clay in the extruder. Once you're done extruding, you can deattach your clay by ripping it off from the upper part, just like this. Once you're done extruding, we need to put the clutch upwards and start pulling the handle upwards. Our next step is to detach the die from the extruder. And to do this, we would just twist it and detach it. When you've detached the die, to continue with the cleaning process, if there's any clay left on the die, you could take it out and make sure that there's minimal clay before washing it out. Now that we've got the majority of the clay out, we can start taking everything apart. We would also take this out and the rubber ring. As you might notice, there's a lot of clay still left in these pieces. Before we rinse them, we need to make sure that there's minimal clay again, and we need to take all of the clay off of it before we can rinse it. Now that we've taken the majority of the clay out of all of our pieces, we will continue by rinsing them, and we would use the rinse buckets to rinse them, and we would use a sponge and just start taking all of the extra clay out. Our final cleaning step would be to clean the actual extruder machine, and to do this first, we would need to take all of that extra clay out of the plunger, as we did with all of our other pieces, and then rinse this. And finally, we would rinse our extruder machine by putting a bucket to collect any water droplets that will come out of it. We would use a wet sponge and just start cleaning like